Why do I know the tools but still freeze when I'm triggered? Why does my body shut down when I try to move forward? If those are the kind of loops running in your head, then this episode is for you. Today, I'm doing a Q&A episode. I'm walking through some of the most common questions I hear, not to give you more information to process, but to help you see why these questions keep coming up in the first place. And more importantly, where you are inside my align process. So you can stop trying to solve something that isn't actually the problem. But before we get into this episode, if you've been listening for a while and something here has been landing for you, sharing the podcast or leaving a review really does help this work reach more people who are in this space. I would love for you to leave a review on YouTube or on Apple Podcast or on Spotify. Anyway, in any platform that you listen, it is a simple way to support what I do. And I also want to say this up front because it connects so directly to what we're talking about today. I've moved my live workshop to May 20th. Yes, May 20th. Honestly, that feels much more aligned with where this work is going. With everything I've been moving through, health-wise, traveling, finishing my book, it became really clear that I didn't want to rush the depth of this workshop. Because what we're talking about in this episode, this is the part that most people can understand, but not necessarily move through on their own. And that's what we're going to start working with together in that space. Okay, my friend, let's get started with today's episode. Welcome to Rewired to Align, a space where we break the patterns keeping you stuck and bring your brain, nervous system, and energy back into coherence. I'm Michelle Marie, neurospiritual alignment coach and creator of Align. This is where neuroscience meets spirituality and where you stop overthinking and start understanding what's actually driving your reality. If you're ready to see yourself clearly and finally shift what's been looping, you're in the right place. Welcome to Rewired to Align, friend. Welcome to the podcast. Happy Tuesday and happy end of April as well. Time is flying by. I'm telling you, this is going so fast. I am like, wow. It's going to be a year very soon for me to celebrate my cancer operation, and I am here with you. So I feel very blessed. My name is Michelle Marie, and every week we come here to speak about alignment, the coherence between your thoughts, feelings, and actions to create a life that is true to your authentic self and the capacity in your system to actually hold it. To the beautiful soul joining me for the first time, welcome to the podcast. I hope that you find insights here that will help your alignment journey. Now, before we dive into today's conversation, I want to acknowledge a milestone. This is episode 75. If you look back through the catalog of this show, because I've told you several times that you have to check it out, it's linked in the show notes, you're going to see 74 episodes of building blocks, layers of nervous system regulation, subconscious rewiring, and the deeper architecture of the Align framework. This is a body of work designed to help you build the capacity to become the woman who can actually hold the life she's creating. So make sure to check out the catalog, binge on the episodes by category, because you can actually search by category. And today's episode, it's going to be on a new category named Q&A. Okay, today's going to be a little different because as we've been walking this path together, I've been noticing a pattern in the questions that come into my lap, like in my inbox, inside the Rewired to Align community in Facebook, that if you're not there, get in there, and also in my coaching container. And what's become really clear is that most of you are not looking for more information. At this point, you're trying to just understand why, even after everything you've learned and maybe all the workshops you've done and all the books, something still isn't stabilizing. So today I decided to jump in here and I'm going to walk you through a few of the questions I've been receiving. And I chose 3 because if not, I'll be here for a long time and I don't want to, keep you for more than 25 minutes. So what I'm going to do is that every so often I'm going to start doing these Q&A episodes for you. So maybe by, sharing other people's experiences or sharing other people's questions, you can actually find your aha moment. And this is not to give you more to do. We're going to use these questions as mirrors, right? To show you where you're standing inside my proprietary Align framework, Align process, and why you've been trying to move forward from the wrong place, maybe, right? You're being misplaced. You're not moving forward. And maybe through these, as we go through them, you can just listen for the parts that sound like the conversations you're having with yourself, the conversations in your head. And of course, please know you're not doing anything wrong. We're all going through the same journey, different stages, right? You're just in a phase you have not named yet, but once we name it, you can finally stop fighting yourself. So let's look at where you're actually standing. And I'm going to start with this question because I know a lot of you are going to feel this one immediately. And question number 1 is the following. Why do I know all the tools but still can't use them when I'm triggered? Why do I know all the tools but still cannot use them when I'm triggered? When you're in this, it can feel very frustrating. It's actually very frustrating. I've been there too, because there's a part of you that knows you've done the work, right? You've read the books, you've journaled, you understand the patterns, and in calm moments, you can even see exactly what you would do differently. You play it in your head, but then something actually happens. You get activated, and it's like none of that is available to you. You went blank. Like you're in a conversation and you catch yourself reacting the same way you said you wouldn't when you're with your partner, when you're with your boss, when you're with your friend, with your children. And what's important to understand here is that this is not a lack of discipline, and it's not that the tools don't work. This is what I call the integration phase inside the Align process, the I of Align. It's the space where your mind has awareness, but your nervous system hasn't fully reorganized around that awareness yet. And let's explore a little bit deeper what this means. From a neuroscience perspective, your brain is still wired to default to the pathways that have been repeated the most over time, okay? Those patterns that have been playing in your life forever. When you're triggered, your system is not pausing to ask, what's the most aligned response here, right? We don't do that. This has to be super fast, but it's moving towards the familiarity, right? What feels familiar, what feels predictable, what it learned that it was safe, right? What it has learned is safest. And that's why you jump and have that familiar reaction. And from a more energetic or spiritual perspective, because you know that I like to bring that here, this is the moment where your identity has not fully shifted into the version of you that lives this new way of being consistently. So there is a gap. There's a gap between what you understand and what your system actually trusts. And most people try to close that gap by learning more. Are you trying to learn more? Or maybe by trying to force themselves to respond differently in the moment. But this isn't something you think your way out of. This is the part where most people stay stuck because they keep trying to solve it mentally, friend. And it's something your system has to experience repeatedly in a way that feels safe enough to stay with. This is why somatics are very important. Your body needs to feel safe. And the way to do that, again, your system has to experience it. Repetition is amazing, and it's the way that we rewire, which is why this phase can feel like you're looping even when you're actually moving forward. And the shift out of this doesn't come from adding more tools. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with more. It comes from allowing your system, your nervous system, to start building familiarity with a different response in smaller, more resourced moments, so that over time, what's going to happen is that the new way of responding becomes something your body recognizes, not just something your mind understands. That's why inside my coaching container, I teach my clients to pause. Even when you're super activated, you can truly take the pause. It's a second pause, 2-second pause, 3-second pause, because that pause is going to give you a little bit of time to allow your system to be in that new response. And the more you do that, the more you take the pause, and the more that you do this new response, the more you're telling your nervous system that it is safe. And this is where you begin to move from integration into grounding. Okay? The next phase after integration is grounding, where it's not just about knowing anymore, it's about being able to stay with yourself in real time, even when something is activated. I hope that this question was answered and that you can see it clearly, and maybe you can see that you are in between these spaces, right? Between integration and grounding, and that you understand that safety is key here. So the next question I hear a lot, and you might recognize yourself in here, is question number 2. Here we go. Why do I feel scared that I'm going to repeat old patterns even when I'm doing something aligned? Why do I feel scared that I'm going to repeat old patterns even when I'm doing something aligned? And this one can feel truly, truly confusing because on the surface, things might actually be going well. You're making different choices and responding differently, right? When you are in situations that are very triggering, you can feel that something has shifted because you're making different decisions. And yet, there's still that underlying tension. Like a part of you is waiting for it to fall apart, almost like you don't fully trust it yet or trust yourself yet. And what's happening here is a little different from the first question. It's related, but it's a little different. And this is what I would place right at the edge of grounding in the align process, where you move through awareness, right? You know your patterns and you already caught yourself. You started liberating everything, forgiveness, letting go, all the good stuff. That's deep work. And you started integrating, but your system hasn't fully stabilized in this new way of being. So even though you're aligned, your body is still referencing your past. Have you been in this position? Because I have been in this position very recently. Because again, remember that I told you that I'm going through an expansion and a growth. Not only because I pivoted into this career, but also because my husband pivoted into a new career. So the energetics of my house is heavy in this a new phase, right? In this growth and expansion that we are experiencing. From a neuroscience perspective, what's happening is that your brain is constantly predicting based on what it has already experienced. I've told you before, the brain is a predicting machine. It's looking for patterns, it's looking for familiarity, it's looking for what it knows to expect. So, if your past has shown you inconsistency, disappointment, or instability in any area of your life, in work, in love, in money, in health, in any area, your system doesn't just forget that because you made a new choice. It keeps scanning for it, friend. It keeps scanning for it because that's what it is. It's not here to make you happy. It's here to what? To keep you safe. And from a spiritual or energetic perspective, right? Because I like to bring that into the podcast, this is where your identity is still in transition. This is the recalibration, what I call the recalibration phase. This is that liminal space. It can feel very, it's like a void, what they call the void, right? You're no longer fully the version of you who live in those old patterns, but you're also not fully embodied in the version of you who trusts this new reality yet. So there's this in between space, and that's where that fear lives. It loves to live there, not because something is wrong, but because your system hasn't had enough evidence yet that this is safe to stay in. And this is where what you expose yourself to starts to matter more than you think. I've told you this before, because your system is constantly gathering proof from your environment, from the people around you, from the experiences you allow yourself to be in, and using that to decide what's actually safe and possible. That's why when you're in this stage of grounding and growth, curating your life is a key process. Actually, it's a non-negotiable, friend. Non-negotiable. We had to do this. I am still doing this. I am still curating my life. And even though I've been doing this for a while now, I am still curating. I've cut a lot of things out of my life, and I have brought in new things in my life that are the proof to my brain, right? Because the brain needs to see to believe that it's possible. I've been giving it proof that what I'm doing and this new career is what I want, and it is possible by bringing in new environments that I put myself in. I curate my social media. I curate what I watch on TV. I curate my conversations with people. So this is very important, and this is the part that a lot of people misunderstand because they think if I still feel fear, then I must not be aligned. But alignment doesn't mean the fear disappears. The fear is not going to disappear, friend. As you expand and you grow, you know that the fear doesn't disappear. It means that you're learning how to stay with yourself, even while that fear is present. I mentioned this in the last episode. You might want to revisit that one. It's episode 74. Actually, you might want to revisit the one that I tell you my cancer journey. And I'm going to link it in the show notes for you so you don't have to look it up. And that's what actually builds trust. Not getting rid of the feeling, but not abandoning yourself when it shows up. And over time, as your nervous system experiences that consistency, that steadiness that you're giving to it, that's what allows this phase to stabilize. That's what starts to move you more fully into grounding. You're deeper, where it's not just something you touch or you think or you see in a pedestal. Please bring it down from the pedestal. It is something you can remain in. And that is what moves you to the last letter in my aligned framework, which is next level embodiment, when you are already embodying all of this fully. You are living from that place of alignment. And this doesn't mean that it ends there, right? This is a journey, and we go through all of these steps again and again as we move forward, as we keep expanding, as we keep growing. Alignment is often talked about like it's this big destination you arrived at, but in reality, it's happening in the quieter moments, the ones where you choose to stay with yourself, even when something feels unfamiliar, the ones where your system is learning that it's actually safe to be here. And that's really what this work is about. So, on May 20th, I'm hosting a live workshop called Step into Alignment. It's going to be a live 90-minute space where we move beyond understanding this work and begin to experience what it actually looks like in real time using my Align process. Because this isn't about learning more, it's about building the kind of internal safety and stability that allows you to stay with what's already opening in your life. If you're recognizing yourself in this episode, then this is your next step. If you're ready to start building something you can actually trust in your day-to-day life, I would love to have you in that space. It's going to be a smaller, more intentional container so we can keep it grounded and connected. You can grab your spot through the link in the show notes or come over to Instagram at Michelle Maripacheco and DM me the word Align. It's happening on Wednesday, May 20th at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I'd really love to see you there. And I want to close with this next question because even if you didn't say it out loud, there's a good chance you felt it. And question number 3 goes like this. Why do I feel like I should know better by now, but I'm still here? Why do I feel like I should know better by now, but I'm still here? And there's usually a lot underneath that. There's frustration. There's disappointment, there's anger, there's bitterness, there's pressure, and sometimes there's even a little bit quiet, very subtle kind of shame because you can see your patterns so clearly. You understand what's happening. You've done the work. You've had the realizations. So there is this expectation that you should be somewhere else by now. We're so hard on ourselves. But what's important to see here is that this question sits in the awareness phase, which is the first letter in my Align process, just not in the way people usually think. Because awareness is meant to help you see clearly, right? You can see clearly, you're very aware. But at a certain point, it can start to turn into pressure. Instead of noticing what's happening, what you do is that you start judging it. So it's no longer, oh, I see my pattern. Let me see how I move forward. It becomes like, why am I still doing this? I should be past this by now. And that shift, it's subtle, but it changes everything, friend, because now you're not relating to yourself with awareness. You're relating to yourself with expectation. And from a neuroscience perspective, awareness is only the first step in change because your brain can recognize a pattern without having built a new pathway yet, which means that just because you can see what's happening doesn't automatically translate into your system knowing how to respond differently in a consistent way. Those are very different places to be. And when you look at it from a more energetic or spiritual lens, this is really where you're being invited into a different kind of relationship with yourself. Because awareness on its own, especially when it's not met with compassion, can very, very quickly turn into pressure. And that pressure doesn't actually create alignment. It tends to create more disconnection and you start being very hard on yourself. So that feeling of I should be further along by now usually is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you can see clearly, but you haven't fully moved through the rest of the process yet. And that's where things begin to shift. Friend, not by forcing yourself forward, but by recognizing that awareness was never meant to be the destination. It is simply where everything begins. This is the first step. And my align process goes through awareness, liberation, which is where we let go. Integration is where everything we let go and the new reframe we start to integrate them. There's a lot of practices there. Then we go into grounding and growth, which I just told you a little bit ago. And then there's the next level embodiment, which is where you start living as that person that you want to be, or the essence that you return yourself into, because that's how I like to explain it. Okay, beautiful soul, as you sit with this and all these questions that we went through, you might notice that maybe one of them stay with you a little longer than others. Or maybe something else came up for you that we didn't even name here. And if that's the case, I would love to hear what it is. You can share your thoughts or your questions inside the Facebook community, Rewired to Align. You can go there and be part of this beautiful community, or you can come over to Instagram and send me a message at Michelle Mari Pacheco. I always read what you share. I always read your comments, and it also helps me shape these conversations in a way that actually meets you where you are, which at the end of the day is what I want to do. And if you're in that space where you can see what's happening, you can feel it, but you also know that understanding it is not the same as being able to shift it in real time, that's exactly what we're doing inside the workshop on May 20th. It's going to be a space where we move beyond just talking and begin to experience it, right? Begins to look at what it can be shifted and what it looks like to stay with yourself through these moments in a different way. So if that's where you are right now, the link is going to be in the show notes for you, or you can come over to Instagram and DM me the word align, and I will send it to you directly. Amiga, before I go, and when you bring all of this back to alignment, it starts to look a little different than what most people expect. It's not something you arrived at once everything feels clear or easy, and it's not something you lose the moment something feels uncomfortable. It is the ability to stay with yourself through all of it, through the moments where you understand, through the moments where you don't trust it yet, through the difficult moments, and even the moments where your system doesn't fully have the capacity to hold what's in front of you. Because alignment isn't just about what you know. It's not about what you know. It's about the coherence between your mind, between your body, your energy, and the way you choose to meet yourself in real time, IRL. And over time, that's what's going to create something much deeper than just change. It's going to create stability. It creates trust. It creates peace. It creates the kind of sovereignty where you're no longer trying to get somewhere else. You're able to stay with yourself where you are and move forward from there. I'm sending you so much love, and I cannot wait to see you live on May 20th inside the Step into Alignment workshop. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I love creating it. If what you heard today resonated with you, the best way to support the show is by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback helps me continue creating content that empowers you and deepens your spiritual connection. Just scroll down to write a review and share your thoughts. And if you love what Rewired to Align is about, share it with your friends and family. I truly believe the world transforms when we come together to create positive change. I look forward to be with you again next week.